Hey friends, it's Hope, and today I am here to talk about how I ruined Thanksgiving. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I am not a great cook, and I definitely have a lot of learning to do. And this year, Bo and I were in charge of desserts. Now, for some reason, I got really excited about making a homemade pie. Why I thought it was going to be a good idea to try out some newly baking skills of mine a day before Thanksgiving is just beyond me, because let me tell you, I have a very funny story to tell you about my first pie making experience. So a couple weeks ago, I went out to the grocery store and I was getting all my supplies. I had to ask my coworkers what their thoughts were. They said totally go with the pumpkin pie. It is foolproof and it's easy. So I decided to do that. While I was picking up my supplies, I was really debating if I should make a homemade crust or if I should just get one that was already made. I decided to go with the do one from scratch idea. Yeah, like I said, foolish decision. So we're going to fast forward to last night when my husband and I decided we needed to go to the grocery store, pick up a couple things. While we were there, Bo bought an apple pie and then he also bought a red velvet cake. I had made a comment of why in the world are we buying all these desserts if I'm going to be making a pie. He told me that if I didn't want to make a pie, I totally didn't need to. You know what, friends? He was wise in his thoughts about getting some store-bought desserts because, yeah, the struggle was real when I got home that night. All right, so I whip out my ingredients for the crust. That was what I was going to start off with. Immediately, 30 seconds into it, I had made a mistake. I had put twice as much of the actual dough part in there and only like 1 part water, but I didn't realize it until I actually put my liquids in it, so it was kind of too late for that. So yeah, I was step 2 into the whole process, 30 seconds in, yelled out a big whoops and immediately regretted not vlogging my first pie making experience. But I decided to take some pictures throughout the whole process and thought I would do a video for you guys and just insert them here. So after getting the dough all ready to go, I got my cutting board. I sprinkled some flour on the cutting board, put the dough on there, was getting ready to roll the dough out when I realized I don't have a rolling pin. This was probably something I should have checked on before this whole hope let's make some homemade pie crust. But yeah, the logistics just weren't there at the moment. But yeah, so I had to roll out the dough with my pepper shaker. After I did that, I was excited to transfer it to the pan when I realized it was stuck. So, you know, I sprinkled a little bit of flour on the board and I guess that I didn't sprinkle enough because like I said, it was stuck and there was nothing I could do to get it off. So I had to start all over again. After scraping everything off of the board, I then put it back into a bowl, re-rolled it out with the salt and pepper shaker, successfully transferred it to the pan, realized it looked like a big old hot mess, but you know what? It is what it is. I was moving on to the filling. So I got the Libby's like pumpkin pie filling can. It said I only had to add a few ingredients, so I thought if I was making a homemade crust, I would just go easy with the filling, so I did that. I was pouring the filling into the pie crust. I realized I had so much filling left over and I couldn't figure out why that was. And then I realized that the can was a ginormous can and it had suggested that I use a deep dish pie pan. Well, the pie pan that I bought, which is a normal size one. So yeah, now I have this leftover filling. So after messing up on another thing, I preheat the oven, read the back of the can, and I just was like skimming through it and it said 450 degrees for 60 minutes. So I did that, put it in the oven. Well, while I was waiting for my pie to cook, I came into the room to call my mom because my mom is an amazing cook and I knew that she would just get a laugh out of this whole disastrous experience. While I was on the phone with her, Bo came in, said something about like, is your pie okay? I just like dismissed it because it was like, whatever. But I probably should have listened to him. I didn't realize there was an issue going on out in the kitchen, but I'll get to that a little bit later. So yeah, I'm talking to my mom on the phone and she was just like, don't worry, Hope, this happens to everybody. Do you remember that one time when your Aunt Cindy decided to make a homemade pumpkin pie and she forgot to put sugar in it and it tasted awful? Well, I did not put sugar in my pie, and when I told my mom that, it was like crickets on the other end. I was like, Mom? And she goes, oh, honey, that's not gonna be good. So yeah, I had a minor freak out moment. I was like, great. The pie crust is probably ruined. The filling is going to taste awful. Everything is just going to be bad. I have ruined Thanksgiving. Shortly after that, the timer goes off. I run into the kitchen. It was kind of smelling a little stanky up in the kitchen. Didn't really think anything of it until I opened up the oven and I realized I had burnt the pie. Guys, I cannot make this stuff up. I was trying to figure out how in the world I did that because usually I have to cook things longer in my oven. And so I looked at the back of the can and I realized I had made a crucial error. It told me to preheat the oven to 450 degrees, cook it for 15 minutes, and then lower it down to 350 degrees and then cook it for 60 minutes. So yeah, definitely did not do that. It was in the oven for 60 minutes at 450 degrees, so the crust was a tad crispy. I really debated on actually bringing the pie to my in-laws this afternoon because it was slightly embarrassing. I totally botched it. I figured, why not? The filling may still taste good. My father-in-law put on a brave face. He was the first one that tried it. He gave it a thumbs up, and so then slowly we all started trickling over to the pie. The inside of it was actually really good. I was very proud of myself. The bottom part of the crust turned out pretty good too, but like I said, that thing looked hideous and it was quite shameful, but we all gotta start somewhere, right? So anyways, that was my first pie baking experience. Next year, I'm going to request us bringing something easy like drinks. How can you mess up bringing soda? So the moral to this whole story is you guys are not alone if you have botched something. We all have been there and we all have to start somewhere. And if you guys are watching and you guys like are an amazing cook, or if you guys have some tips on how to make a pretty pie, please leave that down below because this girl needs some help over here. But yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video and hopefully you take some inspiration. Like I said, that if you guys aren't the best cook or if you've ever botched something, you are not alone. I also do this too and I have a lot to learn. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys have the most wonderful day and a great Thanksgiving. And if you guys are living in a place that you don't celebrate Thanksgiving, I hope you guys just have a wonderful day. Until next time, I will see y'all soon. Bye.